Ezra turned back to Lily. She clung to him, her fists twisted in his shirt, afraid he might vanish too. "You came," she whispered, her voice breaking. Ezra cupped her face, tilting it up so she could see the fierce resolve in his eyes. "Lily, I'll always come for you. Do you hear me? Always. Because his throat tightened, but he forced the words free. Because I love you. I've loved you longer than I can admit. I don't care about father, Victor, or the past. I love you. Nothing they do can change that. Your music, your courage, your heart. You've been my anchor in every storm. And I won't lose you." Tears welled in her eyes, spilling down her cheeks. He pulled her into his arms, holding her as if she were the most precious thing in the world. He lovingly dried her tears. "I don't care that you knew who I was. It doesn't matter. I know you and I respect you enough to know that you wouldn't hurt me intentionally. This was Victor's doing," she said softly. "I know," he said. "I left the Whitlock name behind, but with you, I've found something greater, a new legacy. With you, you're my world, my home, my love." For a moment, all the danger, all the shadows faded. There was only Ezra, Lily, and the steady beat of two hearts that had finally spoken the truth. She reached for him, and they shared a deep kiss, their very first one. And as he carried her out of the warehouse, into the cool night air, Ezra knew this battle was nearing an end, and that he wasn't fighting alone. Ezra drove them back in silence, Lily's trembling fingers clutching him tightly. The headlights washed over the winding country road, but neither spoke. Words felt too fragile, too loud for what had just happened. When they arrived at the parsonage beside the church, Ezra cut the engine. The night was still, broken only by the creak of crickets in the grass. He was always thankful for his neighbor, who consistently watched over his children whenever he had to leave his home, for whatever reason. Lily's eyes were glassy, reflecting the faint glow from the porch light. She looked exhausted, but more than that, she looked breakable in a way that shook Ezra's core. He knew he should probably take her to the hospital, but right now, he didn't even want to share her with doctors and nurses. That would come in the morning. "I don't want to go home tonight," she whispered. Ezra nodded, already knowing. He wanted badly to say, "This is your home," as that is how he felt, but decided not to. "You won't. You're safe here." Inside, he guided her to the worn sofa in his small living room, draping a blanket around her shoulders. She sat stiffly at first, her breath uneven, until Ezra knelt before her, not as a pastor, not as a protector, but as a man who couldn't bear to see her hurting. "I thought," her voice cracked, and she paused before trying again. "I thought he was going to kill me." Ezra reached for her hand, holding it firmly. "I know, but you don't have to talk about that right now." He knew she needed her rest. Her lips trembled, and fresh tears slipped down her cheeks. She studied him, his dark, steady eyes, the unshakable strength in his voice, the way his hands engulfed hers. "You said you loved me," she whispered, the words fragile but charged with meaning. Ezra exhaled slowly, lowering his forehead to hers. "I meant it, every word. I tried to fight it, Lily. I thought I was doing the right thing, letting you go. But tonight, when I saw you there, tied up, helpless," his voice was breaking. She stopped him before he started to cry. His heart ached for her sorrow and wished he could soak up all the pain. Her breath hitched, and she closed her eyes, leaning into him. "Ezra, I've been trying to fight it too. These feelings scared me." He brushed a tear from her cheek with his thumb, his chest tightening at her words. No more fear, no more. He knew it was time to tell her about something he had been keeping to himself for a long time. "Lily, my first Sunday back, when you played that song, one thing that touched me so deeply was Hannah's message in it to me. It's like she was lovingly giving me permission to love again, to love you, fully, unapologetically. I was scared to receive the message, but I know that's what it was. I don't have to question it, because that message has been merged into just about every instance of you playing since her death. It's like she picked you for me. Maybe God gave us this love to make life worth living and enjoying." Lily let out a trembling breath, and then, slowly, began to fall asleep. He heard her softly whisper that she loved him deeply, ever since that very Sunday. Ezra's arms wrapped around her, steady and protective, the blanket falling slightly as he held her close. For the first time since the warehouse, her body relaxed, her breaths sinking with the slow, steady rhythm of his heartbeat. Neither spoke after that. The words had been said, the truth laid bare. Ezra simply held her, letting the quiet of the night and the warmth of their closeness speak louder than any sermon he had ever preached. And in that stillness, Ezra realized something. In a life filled with sermons and scripture, Lily was his living testimony, proof that even out of loss and betrayal from his family that had affected them both, God could write redemption. 6 months passed, marking a full year since Hannah's death. Victor was rotting in jail on a laundry list of charges, which included kidnapping Lily and keeping her in that warehouse for 2.5 months. Ezra discovered that Darren's good reports for Lily's behavior consisted of him only driving by her apartment, which had the lights on, so he assumed she was okay. He had never actually gone up to see if Lily was there, which is how no one knew she was missing for so long, and that knowledge nearly broke Ezra, and he had to talk Darren off the ledge, as he felt responsible for her kidnapping. With Victor in jail, the Whitlock empire was automatically turned back over to Ezra, as it was his birthright. But as his life was with the church, he allowed his father to continue to oversee most of the businesses. Ezra had reconciled with his father, who was slowly becoming a changed man, and had even issued a formal apology to Lily in front of the entire church. Jester even offered Lily a prestigious opportunity with one of the top symphonic orchestras in the country, but she turned it down, understanding that her life was with Ezra, Caleb, and Emma as his wife and their mother, whom all three welcomed with open arms, and would soon welcome a fourth in a few months. The church flourished. His sermons deepened. He spoke of grief as one who had wrestled it, of betrayal as one who had bled from it, of justice as one who had pursued it without losing his soul. His congregation swelled, not because of theatrics, but because people trusted him. He was a billionaire's son, but he was also their pastor. This particular Sunday was also the anniversary of Hannah's death, when such a strange, dreamy moment happened, with a particular song. Ezra stood behind the pulpit, looking out at the crowded sanctuary, then at his children, who sat with his father on the front pew. Lily sat at the piano, smiling at her husband, who she could not be more proud of. "My name is Ezra Hayes," he began, "but once, it was Whitlock. I cut myself off from wealth, from power, because I thought I could escape the brokenness that came with it. What I learned is this: brokenness finds us all, loss, betrayal, injustice, but so does grace. Grace finds us if we dare to keep our hearts open." He paused. The congregation hushed. "I lost much. I was betrayed by my family, and even members of this church. I fought for my children. I fell in love. And in that journey, God showed me that love is not weakness, it is resilience. Forgiveness is not surrender, it is freedom. And faith is not escape, it is courage." He gave Lily that knowing look that was just for her, to play the song that they considered their song, his, hers, Hannah's, and their children. She pressed the keys, playing the opening notes of it as well, with "My Soul" filling the sanctuary. The congregation joined, voices weaving strong and unbroken. That evening, as the sun set in streaks of gold across the parsonage that was nearly packed up, as they would be moving into the city soon, Ezra stood on the porch, watching Emma and Caleb chase fireflies, while Lily's laughter mingled with theirs. He smiled happily. For years the Whitlock name had been a stain, spoken with disdain or fear, broken by greed and cruelty. In the glow of twilight, he sensed something shifting. Through the music that bound them, the Whitlock name was being written anew, not in wealth or power, but in decency, honesty, and hope. Redemption was not only for souls. It could, in time, be for legacies too. He knew that the Whitlock name would one day stand for something great and be respectful for the right reasons. And in that quiet moment, he knew he had finally become the man and pastor that God had intended him to be. No longer the son chained to a ruthless empire, no longer the brother overshadowed by betrayal, but a father, a shepherd, a loving son, and a man who had found powerful love again where he least expected. Love that steadied him, grounded them, and made his heart fill with unshakable joy for the future. We've come to the end of this heartwarming saga. If you enjoyed it and would like to see more like it, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss the next one. Your support means everything and helps bring more stories to life. Until next time,